Hey, welcome back to our 24/7 stream right here in the 11 Alive Streaming Center. This is a subject I have been waiting for all day because I knew that Reeves Jackson, of course, is going to be stepping here into the streaming studio along with Megan, the producer. She's in here as well to talk about the Braves trade deadline. So, Reeves, what happened today? Did they make any moves?
Ron, it was a very disappointing
Really?
trade deadline for the Atlanta Braves, and for a number of reasons. And that was the fear for a lot of Braves fans coming into today. The last few years, the Braves have been very quiet at the trade deadline, and they've been a perennial postseason contender, really since they won the World Series in 2021.
Yeah.
Sans last season, they were well under 500 out of the postseason race pretty early on and didn't really have a need to make moves. But all their guys were back performing this year, and the Braves are 8 games up in first place heading into the trade deadline.
That ain't bad.
And so it was really, a lot of Braves fans were like, all right, this is the time to go all in. Especially with, which we'll get into in a little bit, with a potential lockout looming next season.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Especially with what the Los Angeles Dodgers have been able to do by giving out billions of dollars in deferred money to players. And they traded, obviously, for Tarek Skubal, which was one of the best names and top names on the market this year. So a lot of people thought, okay, the Braves' biggest weakness coming into this season, Ron, was their starting pitching depth. And a lot of it was due to injuries and due to, honestly, a lack of activity in the offseason. So people were kind of on general manager Alex Anthopoulos before the season started because there's kind of been a history of inactivity, both in the offseason and at the trade deadline, really since 2022. Of course, we'll go back real quick to 2021. That's what Alex Anthopoulos is known for. He makes the trades for Jock Peterson, Adam Duvall, Eddie Rosario, and Jorge Soler. And those 4 guys, after their star player Ronald Acuna went down, carried the Braves to their first World Series title since 1995. And so, of course, Alex Anthopoulos got a lot of the praise for that because he traded for 4 guys that really propelled the team. But since 2022, which the Braves were the best team in baseball, the best offense. So we kind of got to pass that offseason because of how good the Braves were. But then you look at the last 2-3 years, and a lot of fans have progressively gotten a little more frustrated with Anthopoulos because of the lack of inactivity, or the lack of activity, I should say. And it kind of culminated into this trade deadline. The Braves have 4 or 5 really impact pitchers that are injured right now, and they're kind of... They got Bryce Elder as their number 2, which he's had a bad history in the postseason, and Megan knows this. He's especially against the Philadelphia Phillies. And just some veterans that are kind of more 4 or 5 starters in a 5-man rotation, not really 1, 2, 3 guys, more impact starters. So there were a lot of names today that were out there. Casey Mize, former number 1 overall pick, went to Auburn University, pitched for the Detroit Tigers. And so when the Tigers traded Tarek Skubal to the Los Angeles Dodgers several nights ago, it kind of signaled toward the MLB landscape that, okay, hey, the Detroit Tigers might be sellers in this trade deadline. So it made a lot of sense for the Braves to pursue him. He's a southern guy who grew up a Braves fan. And you also had some other guys, like a few days ago, Kevin Gausman, who used to play for the Braves 2018, was traded to the Chicago Cubs. He was thought as maybe a target for Atlanta. Then you had guys like Robbie Ray, who is a really good left-handed veteran pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. He got dealt to the Padres. So the Padres ended up getting both Casey Mize and Robbie Ray. And so Alex Anthopoulos just had media availability, and he was kind of asked about that question. And the question was, how do you feel about maybe not making moves, but how other teams made moves and distanced themselves from the Atlanta Braves in the postseason run? And he kind of played it off as there's no winners and losers until the players perform. And he's like, everyone's going to make judgments early on based on what the trades are, but we didn't feel like there were deals out there that we were comfortable parting with prospects.
Well, I mean, what do you think about that? Because, we've talked about this before. We even, hooked up here into the streaming center. It seems like the Dodgers have unlimited cash. Like unlimited cash. I mean, so every time that the Dodgers like, I want this person, they dial them up, they dip into the bag, they give them whatever they want, they get a bigger bag, the players do. But the Braves, what's happening between the Dodgers and the Braves with the Dodgers is spending money, but the Braves, they're not, because they may meet in the postseason.
Correct, and I think that's the frustrating part for a lot of Braves fans, Ron, is right now Atlanta is 2 games behind the Dodgers for the best record in all of baseball. The Dodgers go out and they get Tarek Skubal. But the Braves have a winning record against the Dodgers this season. The Braves have shown they can beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I think that is what's frustrating is when LA goes out and gets a perennial all-star ace to go along with their other 3-4 starters that are aces in any other rotation in baseball. And you have a plethora of starters on the market that are available for, honestly, a pretty low cost. All these trades that were made today, a lot of these teams did not have to give up more than a top 4 prospect was the biggest and most expensive prospect package.
Yeah.
And right now the Braves number 4 prospect is someone that is easy. There's Tate Southesine, who's their number 3, you have Eric Hartman number 2, and you have Cam Kiminiti, who's their number 1. But outside of those 3, I think every other prospect in the Braves farm system could easily be dealt without an argument. So
there you go. I mean, they could be used for that trade.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Megan, the producer.
Oh, yes.
If she's in right now, we're trying to. Oh, here's all of us. By the way, folks, I just want to introduce all of us here. We got Megan, the producer. We have AZ, the producer, standing by right there. And, of course, myself. And RJ. So, Megan, you were listening. Were you listening to some of that press conference?
I was listening, and I also have some responses from the public and the Braves fans out there on how this trade deadline went.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready.
People aren't happy. People are very unhappy. I have to censor a lot of these as well. But someone said it's a sad day to be a Braves fan. This is a reply to our Reggie Chapman's tweets. He's at Georgia Tech, opened up their fall practice today.
Yeah.
So Reggie's over there, but he asked people how they feel. So someone said it's a sad day to be a Braves fan. Another person said, got my hopes up thinking we'd get a big arm. I blame myself. I should have known better. Someone else said, horrible, beyond horrible. Hope they are enjoying their Profar money, though. That is in reference to a player, Jurickson Profar, who was suspended for a second straight year for PEDs. So they have money from that.
$15 million, in fact, to spend. Correct.
Someone said that I want AA, that's Alex Anthopoulos, the president of baseball operations, far away from my team. Someone else said AA's time in Atlanta has expired. Someone says an F for that trade deadline because they do grades. So they're giving them an F. Worst deadline performance by a Braves GM ever. Ever.
And I want to just go back real quick, Megan, because you make a good point right there. And look at, I talked about this earlier on our afternoon show with Zach Merchant, but so obviously I talked about in 2021, they made those acquisitions, the 4 outfielders I talked about. Let's look at 2022 through now 2026. In 2022, you had Robbie Grossman, Jake Odorizzi, Ere Adrianza, who was actually part of the 2021 World Series team. They brought him back. Raisel Iglesias. Now, Raisel Iglesias might be, since 2022, the lone guy they hit on in the past.
In 2022?
In 2022?
Yeah,
yeah, when Bryce Elder gave up home runs left and right to the Phillies in the postseason.
Okay.
I remember that.
Megan
She had to remind me on that. Of course, Megan, the Philly fan. So in 2023, okay, we don't have to go there. 2023 deadline, they acquired Pierce Johnson, Taylor Hearn, Nicky Lopez, and Brad Hand, which in the baseball landscape they're not impactful guys. They're secondary additions, tertiary additions. They're not primary additions you would make to your ball club to make a prime push to the World Series. In 2024, they added Jorge Soler back, but an aging Jorge Soler, and then Luke Jackson, who wasn't quite the same as he was when he was on the Braves on their World Series team. 2025 is kind of out the door. They added Eric Fetty and Tyler Kinley. Kinley was a good addition to their bullpen now. He's still with the team. And then in 2026, you add Tyler Mahle, who is now we're jumping into this year's acquisitions. They add Tyler Mahle last night from the San Francisco Giants, who's a starting pitcher with a over 5 ERA on the season.
Wait, okay, what?
Yeah, over 5 ERA.
Okay, so, I mean, just for those our fans out there, like, what's an ERA and what's an RBI and all this other good stuff. So is that good? I mean, is that good or is that bad?
So ERA is earned run average, and typically any average earned run average, if you're following, is between the high 3s and low 4s.
Right.
A really good
if you're a really good pitcher.
Yeah, really good is like if you're sub 3.
Yeah.
Like Paul Skeens, for example, he's out of this world good, but he's had a sub 2 ERA, and he's won the Cy Young each of the past 2 seasons. Anyways, They also added so Tyler Mahle. He'll be like a 4-5 guy. So he's not an impactful starter. Yeah. They added Lane Thomas, which I like the addition. Lane Thomas is an outfielder who can hit left-handed pitching well, so that'll complement the Braves across from Mike Yastrzemski, who he'll platoon with. So they'll split duties when Yastrzemski and the Braves face righties. His left-handed bat will be in the lineup, and when they face lefties, Lane Thomas's bat will be in the lineup.
Yeah, and just to go off because you had to leave listening to Anthopoulos, he did say that part of the reason why they did trade Eli White, which was a late trade that they did today up to Boston, was because of the Lane Thomas move that they had made on Saturday, that he would kind of be taking over those starts, those reps that Eli White was getting. Yeah. So there's the explanation for that one.
Well, let me ask you this, Megan, especially based upon what, Reggie is getting the response out there based upon Braves fans. Is it fair? I know we're an objective news organization, and we don't like to insert our own opinions. What'd you say?
You did like a objective news.
I know. I had to put my chest out and speaking like Anchorman, or Brother Anchorman, whichever one you prefer. But anyway, so just based upon the feedback we're getting from fans out there, is it fair and a fair evaluation what the fans are saying that they're losing hope for the Bravos?
Here's what I'll go based off of. This is Alex Anthopoulos' tenure as the Atlanta Braves general manager. Let's start in 2018. They lost to the Dodgers in the National League Division Series, so they did not win a postseason series. 2019, they lost in the National League Division Series to the St. Louis Cardinals, infamously the 10-run first inning in Game 5 of the NLDS when Mike Fultonavich started. Okay, so still 0 postseason wins. 2020 was their first run of success under Anthopoulos. It was the COVID season, so it was COVID shortened, and they actually won 2 postseason series. They beat the Cincinnati Reds, and they beat the Miami Marlins. They had a 3-1 lead on the Dodgers in the NLCS, the National League Championship Series, but then the Dodgers came back to win 3 in a row. And then, of course, 2021, and that's what Anthopoulos is still kind of riding off of. Almost caught lightning in a bottle a little bit. Those 4 guys he acquired went scorched earth. They went off, and they propelled the Braves to a World Series. So that's what he's riding off of. But since then, and the Braves have had very good teams around since 2021. They lost in the NLDS to the Phillies, aforementioned. 2023, they lost in the NLDS to the Phillies. 2024, they lost in the Wild Card Series to the Padres. And then last year, they missed the postseason. And right now, if you're looking at their starting rotation, as constructed for the postseason, you have Chris Sale. And this is a little bit skewed, but he's got a 6.35 postseason ERA, which is not great. I talked about where you want your ERA to be.
Boy, that's high.
Chris Sale's a very good pitcher, so that doesn't worry me. Here's what worries me. Bryce Elder is your number 2 right now. He's got an ERA of over 20 in the postseason. Over 20.
Wait.
Over 20. Okay. A lot of that's come against the Phillies.
An ERA?
Over 20, Ron.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
You have Grant Holmes, who's never pitched in the postseason. You have Tyler Mahle, who's recently acquired, who's never pitched in the postseason. And you have Martin Perez with an ERA of over 3.5. And so you get to the combined ERA there, Ron, of almost 6. And that's it's a concerning figure.